And we are live. Okay, Robert and Bazes podcast number 2. Started the first one yesterday, so we're just gonna keep it going, right?
Yes, and actually, just going off of our first one, and listening to it, I talked a lot about myself. I think that it's time for you to talk about yourself and just introduce yourself, and then tell us what you're about, what you represent.
Yeah, it's. I thought about the same thing, like how are gonna people get to know us? And I was like, am I gonna tell the people who I am? But then I was like, just listening to our stories, they will get to know us better than in any other way.
I love that. I love that.
So that's
Yes,
pretty cool. Of course, I will do a short introduction, but just watching the podcast, you will get to know us better than saying who I am, right?
very true.
So, but to keep it short, like my name is Buzz. My artist name is Basis. I live in Amsterdam. It's pretty cool. Like Robert and I are friends, but we never met each other in real life. Like how crazy is that? Like we talk about the downside of internet, with the algorithms and all the negative information. But I was like, there's good stuff about the internet as well. And it's cool that you and I are friends, but we've never met each other. Like I've never had it in my life. Like it's so funny that I consider you as my friend, but only speak to you like through the internet because you live on the other side of the world, which is pretty crazy.
It really is, man. Like how incredible it is. Not only how we came together, but as we became to get to know each other, we started to realize we got so much in common, like almost to a point where we're like almost identical in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
it's crazy.
And without the internet, man, that never would have taken place. So I agree, man. Like the internet could be amazing for sure.
To catch up on the introduction, so I rap and I play music, and that's how Robert and I linked up. Like he's the producer, he makes beats, and he mixes most of my songs actually. And we share the passion of fitness and music, so that's how we linked up and became friends through the internet, which is crazy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Also it was your mindset too. Like I go back to the beginning when we first met, and I think I remember like talking to you a bit about powerlifting and lifting weights and whatnot. And like you said something to me where it was like right away, I was like, I like your mindset. And I think that that's overall what like gravitated me towards you, man. It's just like your overall mindset. You're a very compassionate person. I don't see that a lot in especially the younger mind, and like I always felt that was unique about you, and I always said that to you. I'm like,
Yeah,
you're very unique to me. So, I found that very interesting about you.
I appreciate that, and that's why we link as well. Like we are open-minded, so we can have a discussion about anything, and we could disagree, but we could still be gentle and have respect for each other even though we're disagreeing, like still being open-minded and place that question mark there instead of shutting you off and saying like fuck you. So that's cool as well.
And how relevant is that more than ever right now? Just with everybody in this loop of disagreements and pushing ideologies and their own thoughts. For me, like to be able to disagree with somebody and do it in a healthy manner. And sometimes you just have to walk away to be okay with the disagreement, and nobody's going to win. And you and I have that, and that's I think is like an important key to life, especially for your mental.
Yeah, you talk about this a lot about the cancel culture, uh, especially now, like you're saying, it's really relevant, like just shutting off everything that doesn't fit your view or fit your agenda and just throw it out. And I think that's really dangerous because you're going to go down that rabbit hole of only looking for things that suit you. And like it's a vicious circle once again. Like once you go down that rabbit hole, you are convinced of something and you're going to find things that agree with you instead of disagree. So it's a vicious circle and it will keep going like that forever.
Yeah, it really, really is. And people that are caught in these things really need to try to grasp how dangerous it is for their mind. You and I somewhat breezed over it yesterday, and we talked about the thought bubble, and like that was a new coin term that I heard. And I always said ideologies, but I think a thought bubble is a better way of thinking of it because they have these ideologies these days where it's a full group, but inside of these groups they got these thought bubbles, and they get caught in just what you're talking about, and then whenever you form these opinions, these biased opinions in your mind, like, obviously the algorithm of the social media and Google is going to cater to that and make it more true in your head. And if people don't understand this, then that you're going to get caught in that thought bubble. You won't be able to get out of it. And it
Nope.
makes you erratic, very emotional,
Yeah, like once you're trapped in that hole, like it's really, really hard to get out.
super hard.
And that's what I do when I look for something like a study or I want to research something. Like I look on both sides. Like I will literally type in something that's for or against that, or even neutral. Like let's talk about like the impact of weed on your health. Like I wanted to go down that rabbit hole. Like I wanted to form an opinion. I was like, what's going on? Like I heard all this discussion and compared to alcohol, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna dive into that. I'm gonna look up what the benefits are, like for medical purposes. I'm gonna look up what the potential dangerous things of weed are, and I'm gonna just type something in neutral, like the effects of, like not the benefits or not the downside, but the effects of, and you get like a full story about the impact onto the body, and that's with every subject basically. Like just look it up on both sides, and that's how you don't get caught in that rabbit hole.
Yeah, man. Like, it's so important how you broke that down, and like that's really what it is. Is like, especially when you're in your own biased opinion, like try to look at the other side, and then not just look at it just to look at it, but open your mind and pull yourself out of yourself. And that was the beauty about you is you were able to do that and then form a different opinion, and that opened up how many different doors, and then you start to realize like most of this stuff isn't as bad as I convinced myself it is. You know,
What do you
it's
mean?
a different opinion. Just more of like when you're talking about like the weed and the stigmas that come behind it, and then you're looking at both sides. So, for me, it's just like it's quick to form an opinion if you don't look at both sides, and that's what I'm saying. It's like it's important that you are bringing that up because that's how you kind of get out of these thought bubbles is when you look at
This-
both sides.
For sure. And like the social dilemma came out like a few weeks ago, and it touches on that topic like really good, of course. How it can be dangerous as well, like with these conspiracies, how people get caught and they act upon it. Like it's okay to do research on conspiracies, like some conspiracies are really compelling, but if you just follow that blindly, and like I was saying, in the Netherlands we had this situation where politicians they could just went down to their houses to insult them or threaten them or say like stupid things to them. I was like, what's the point? Like, what are you doing? Like, it's fun to go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole, right? But just to follow that blindly, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that's what I love about David Icke. Like, he's got crazy conspiracies, he's got more compelling conspiracies, but his conclusion was, how are we going to beat this? With love. Like, we're not going to fight that. We just got to be compassionate and loving, and that's how we're going to break through the system, and not by threatening politicians. Like, where's the humanity in that, right?
Absolutely. I think too, like what that is like people walking around with these absolute truths, and they're speaking with absolute certainty. So they only know the truth and nobody else does. And then they have to seek out the people that challenge them and they have to force them to believe what they believe. And they will even do it to a point of getting physical. And to me, I'm like, I don't see how a person can't see what they're doing in those situations because, like, first of all, you're not listening to another person, and that's the first danger. But second is like you're forcing that person to believe what you believe. Like, why? Why would you even want to do that? Like for me, like if I believe in a certain thing, I'm not going to grip to it so wholeheartedly that I'll fight you to the death for it. Like, or even just have an argument and get super upset for a week about it. Like, I'm going to just let it go because, like, I think that there's a beauty in the fact that we all think differently. And I think that also there's many different ways to do the same thing and get the same result. And so when you think of it like that, it's like, why think just one direction? There's a lot of different directions that could get you to the same destination.
Exactly. And people get emotional like when they disagree. Like I have a friend of mine in school, we disagree on everything. It's so funny, on music, on politicians, on everything. But we are still friends. We can still have a laugh. So to not uh, get that emotion to you and not get too personal about that, like it's just an opinion. Like he views the world different than I do. Like guess what? Everybody views the world differently. So instead of getting angry or emotional, just accept it because it's going to be like that your whole life.
Right. That comes back full circle to letting go because that's what people got to do in those moments because it's so hard. Like, especially when you feel very emotional about something and you like, or just myself, say if I know it's the truth at my core, because we do walk around with these. and then someone challenges that, like that's when it's really hard to not be emotional. But that's when it's really important to not be emotional. So like that's why letting go is the biggest goal is inside of that moment is just to not get emotional. So let go of it. Let go of the emotions. Let them talk. If you don't agree, don't say anything. Whatever. Just move on if it's going to be a fight.
Exactly, and that's what I kind of dislike with our population in the Netherlands. Like everything the politicians do is wrong. Like all we do is just nag about them, and people don't see the consequences of choices. Like if you ask people, "Do you want to lower the taxes?" The answer is yes. If you ask them next, like, "Do you want more money in the educational system?" The answer is also yes. Well, guess what? They don't go together. If you want more money in the educational system, maybe we should pay a bit more taxes. So it's really hard to see that consequence and not only vote or choose for your personal interest, but look at the bigger picture. So
Yeah,
it's really hard to comprehend that. Like all we do is nag, and all they do is wrong. I'm like, you do it. If you think how it should work, like you be the politician. Like it's not easy. Of course, I have my critiques as well, but it's not easy.
exactly, man. And like what most of those people are doing, they're walking around with these like 1-page fact sheets. They didn't do any research. Just as you mentioned, like they'll come up with these ideas and then they're going to complain about it. You spent all your energy complaining and not researching. And so you got this, you form these ideas in your head just because you think it's bad for whatever reason, but you didn't really understand the full complexity of it. And I think that that's where, like, at least the general public or society gets so caught in that web is like we love to complain about things and point the finger at the system or point the finger at this, when in reality, like, we really just got to dig inside ourselves. That's what it always boils down
Exactly.
to, right?
Like you said, like you're probably not gonna understand like the whole complexity of the whole system and how politics work, but we're never gonna be able to. But the fact that you are aware of that makes you already a step further than everybody else, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. And I think too, like we always walk around with the answer. Like a lot of people have the answers more so than like the ones that are actually doing it. And I think that that's another important thing to look at is like if the general public has all the answers, or say if I'm walking around with all the answers, why am I not trying to go and show that to the world? Then why am I just complaining about it? I think that's a question we should all ask ourselves. If we're running around complaining about something, let's go fix it. And if you're not going to fix it, then just not complain. Don't complain about it anymore. You shouldn't hold
Exactly.
real estate in your mind.
And what I noticed in the beginning of the lockdown, so in March, um, it comes down to a tough decision for the government. Like, what are we going to do? And you could just see the whole society, or here in the Netherlands, like shutting up finally in the beginning, because nobody knew what to do for sure. And when it comes to action, like people draw back and okay, I'll just follow the leader now. So when times are easy, it's really easy for people to complain. And when the times are hard, it's hard for people to complain because they don't know what to do.
Yeah, man, that's the vicious cycle, right? It's so funny how it works that way. I'm always going to resort back to this, but that's why things are backwards. It's always
Yeah.
backwards. It always is, man, because no matter what, if we want this, we finally get it, and then we complain because we lost this. And actually, Jocko said this, man, and I love it. But he says, if you were to take all the world's problems and put them into a pot, you're going to want your problems back. And that's it. That's
That's so
truly
accurate.
it, man. Yeah, it really is, man. Like we're going to complain about all these problems that we have, and that all of a sudden you're going to get some other problems in. It's like, actually, my problems weren't that bad. And that's
Exactly.
usually what it is. It's perspective.
I discussed this with my dad like a few days ago. Like our problems aren't really problems. Like we heard it on the news. Like I don't know what percentage this was, but they said like 30% of the people in the Netherlands will be lower than the how do you say that, like the wealthy line, or how do you call that? Like it's the definition of we draw as when you are poor or wealthy. Like in next year, 30% is gonna fall under that line. I was like, what are you talking about? Like people, they live with $1 a day, or they don't even have money because they don't have like that infrastructure, and they have to look for food, and hundred thousands of kids die because of food. Like how do you mean we have a problem with health? Like, or health, sorry, not wealth and health. Like it's not a problem. Like it's relative, like you're saying.
Yeah, they're literally cherry picking your problem, not the world's problems, and then they're putting it in with the world. And that's like that's just your country's problem, right? Or if that's how they want to view it as a problem. But if you look at the world, like it's not that bad. So just depends on like the problems we want to focus on and how we want to word them. I think that that's where it gets super dangerous sometimes. Is like I don't know if it's the media or who gets behind those things, but they really like to take things and twist it to make it sound maybe worse than what it is, or for clicks maybe, or to gain exposure for their company. I don't know, man. Like I really don't
Yeah,
know, but I'll read those headlines sometimes and just shake my head like, no, it's not it.
exactly. And I often say like the problem is not the problem, but the problem is your attitude towards the problem. But that is for like the Western society, because for me that's easy to say. Like if I have a problem that's probably made up, like for me it's easy to say. But like once again, if you grow up without food, you cannot say that. Like it's like our perspective on it, right?
Truly, man. Yeah, like I love that you not only talk about it, but you focus on that because we get so lost inside of our own life and thought bubble and reality that like we forget to understand what other people may be dealing with. And there's definitely a lot worse going on in the world than what you and I are dealing with. That's for sure. So for us to like think anything other than the fact that we weren't lucky is just wrong. Like we were super lucky to be born where we're born, and to be able to have these opportunities alone are just, it's pure luck. Others didn't get this opportunity. So got to be grateful.
Exactly. That's I just wanted to say like gratitude. Like the moment gratitude comes in, you kind of stop complaining, right?
Yeah, dude, like you're so right, man. Because that's how I feel. I feel that way every day. I wake up with just this overwhelming sense of gratitude, and it really humbles me. It makes me happy too. And I do think about the world a lot and what others go through, and it definitely saddens me. But at the end of it, like we all got a life to live, and I'm very thankful for the one I was given, and I'm not going to take it for granted. And that's what I try to tell myself every day.
Exactly. Like you cannot take it for granted, because tomorrow can be over. Like we talked about this yesterday, right? Like building the sandcastles is going to go away, so don't take it for granted, because it's not at all.
Yeah,
So,
dude. Yeah, it's so true. And like, the thing is like going back to the sandcastles, and like even you with she got away, which you're still dealing with that problem. And I mean, maybe we could go over that after this, but like for me, like I connected to that because like I've lost hard drives. My computer's crashed on me and like lost like 100 beats. And it's like there's points where I quit because of that. Like it's devastating on the mind, right? And like it really, like when you said that it felt like a breakup. And I guess we could kind of go over like what happened. And you know more details, so I'll let you go over it.
yeah. So five months ago, I released a song with Terry Mack, great singer, by the way. Like another track is coming with him. I love it, and it was doing well. Like it was my best performing song on Spotify, and I was really happy, and it was going great. And then it just the next day, boom, it disappeared. I was like, what? Wait, what? What do you mean it disappeared? Looked on Spotify, it was just gone. I don't know what happened. Like, and it was still on all the other platforms like Apple Music, iTunes, all that other stuff. And like I was said yesterday, I was like in this bad mood bubble. I was like, fuck this shit. Like, why is this happening? But then the mindset comes in, because at those moments, like that's when you get tested, right? Like it's easy to have a good mindset when everything is going well, like duh. But at that moment, like how is your mindset then when you have a setback? Like when something happened that sucks.
So what happened exactly? Do you know? Do you have any like information on it?
Nope,
No.
no clue. I sent an email to Spotify, but didn't get a response yet. And there's nothing wrong with my distribution company. So DistroKid I use, it's still like a green dot with all the platforms on it. And like I said, it's all on the other platforms as well. So it's like it's a problem with Spotify. I don't know what it is yet. But,
You
hopefully
know,
I'll find out.
and that's the whole thing with the sandcastles right there, man. Because like, look, you don't know, and like this is like completely out of your control. There's nothing you could do. It's literally a sandcastle that got built, and the water just came and swept it away. There's nothing you could do. You got to rebuild. And like, man, what a devastating thought. But like, your recovery was amazing. You came out of it like an hour, and you're like, I'm good now. And
Yeah.
it's back to the drawing board. But like, these are the things we deal with, man. And it's not just in music, but it's life too. It's like we just deal with these things constantly, where you just wake up and all of a sudden that's gone. Yeah, how long did you work on that for, man? That was like one of your best performing songs. One of my
Exactly.
favorite mixes I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
It is really disappointing, but that's when I realized like happiness can be a choice. And this is just a small thing. Like how important is a song? Like not that important, right? But it translates to everything. Like that's why I say happiness can be a choice because I like to take Keanu Reeves as an example. Like I don't know if you know his story. I don't know in detail, but he's like his father walked out his life when he was younger. His mother died at a young age. Then his wife and their unborn child they died at the same time.
Oh wow.
Like his friend overdosed. Like I might be mixing some of the details up. Like I'm not sure, but it's like if you read his story, it's crazy. Like how can someone survive that? It's insane. But if you look at him now, he's still happy. He's still successful. He's still really humble. Like how do you recover from that? Like that's crazy. And then you realize also with the harsh stuff like this, like happiness is still a choice. Like if you can still find that gratitude in your heart, even though it's really hard to do that when something like that happens, right? But the fact that people still recover from it kind of proves that's possible.
Yeah, yeah, that kind of hit home for me. It's pretty heavy stuff and makes me think of Wim Hof because I didn't even know his story until recently. But like, his wife committed suicide and he found her on the floor, and he describes her as that was his soulmate. And that like my wife's my soulmate. Like that's my everything, and like I could connect to that, and like just trying to imagine what Keanu Reeves went through, and then Wim Hof or these other people, and not only did they go through it, but they came out on top. Like you say, it's a choice. It's a very 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 heavy thing to put on your mind, but like it really is, man. It's just like something we need to move on from. It's the sandcastles because that's just really what our life is, and like we have to continue on somehow. And
Exactly. And especially like it's gonna take time. Like it's not that the next day you're gonna be happy again. My mom just walked in. Hey, mom. Thanks.
hey, mom.
Uh, she's not hearing you because of my earphones in. But so what I was talking about?
We're going over Wim Hof.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
the
just
happiness. Like the next day, like you're gonna not gonna be happy the next day again. Like if you lose someone you love, it's not the next day you wake up all happy. Of course not. It's gonna take time, maybe a year, maybe 10 years, but still, it is a choice. Like that's what I truly believe.
yeah, man. I do agree with you completely. I do. I mean, as you know, like I just recently lost my sister, and that was a pretty rough one on me, and um, definitely didn't expect it. It just came out of nowhere, and so like I go back to those moments, and like the first week was rough, like super rough. Like I was crying a lot and very very sad. But I think you and I talked, and then I just remember going to a moment of like, you know what, I'm gonna be happy for the moments I had for with her. Not gonna soak in the sorrow of her being gone. Like I'm gonna sit back and think about all these good moments we had and all these things that she taught me and her laugh and what she's done for her kids. And I started like really really get deep in my mind of like, man, she was such a good person, and like I'm like she lived a great life, and like why am I gonna sit back and be sad for her being gone? I don't think she would like that. I
And
think she
that's
wants me to be happy. So
yeah. If she could look, like maybe she's looking, we don't know, but of course she would wish that for you. And that's the yin yang again. Like you feel sad because you felt so happy during that time.
yeah,
So how cool is it that you feel grateful and you can look back on a happy time? And that's the reason why you feel sad. So the moment you realize that, like, ah, geez, I'm still grateful for the times we had.
yeah, it's almost liberating in a way because like that sadness takes over you like a darkness, like it's a plague, and then and it really really gets you into your head of like almost a victim because you're like, why was this person taken, and you get to start asking all these questions in your head that will never get answered because nobody will know the answers of it. So I think that like truly the best thing you could do is just to try to think about the good times, and like, it's just liberating. Like it frees your mind. You don't have to be sad anymore. You could be happy for the times that you had.